Grim Lavamancer main and Grim Lavamancer sideboard.
One, how many main?
Three
main,
Grim
one
Lavamancer
sideboard,
main.
okay.
And I think that's really, really interesting. And then also, he's gone with the Mindbreak Trap, which is something we've been seeing a little bit more of recently. But it's actually a really powerful way to not just get into wars and win a war, like in, say, the mirror match, but also when you're playing against Valakut, for example, and they go tap out Primeval Titan, and you go tap out, or nearly tap out, Mindbreak Trap, they don't get to Summoner's Trap from your Mindbreak Trap.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Two main deck Twisted Images from Matthew Boccio, who we're going to be seeing. Before we talk more about this, let's wait to see them a little bit. We were talking about Innistrad earlier. Innistrad's coming up pretty quick. One of the ways that rotations work, right? Oh, and actually, before we go, we'll talk about Innistrad more later.
Yeah.
We've got, on the right, Jim Davis with Clawblade, and Matt Boccio with Plinter Twin.
Plinter Twin.
Plinter Twin. Blue-red Plinter. Jim is nodding along. He's, you know.
There we go. Splinter Twin.
Turn 1 Grim Lavamancer from Matt.
Jim probably has no idea what he's playing against just from that turn 1.
Yeah, he doesn't know yet.
Right. One of the interesting things about Grim Lavamancer is how it's pretty decent against the illusion decks, where it's just a repeatable, I can target your guy kind of thing.
That looks like a dismember. Interestingly, that means
that's one less dismember.
One less dismember to stop the combo.
Right, and Jim has 3 main decks, so he's down to 2 more dismembers that can stop that combo.
Now,
got into the
has
Royal,
kind of given up the ghost here a little bit by getting that island. He could have been faking himself as a red deck, but now that he's shown an island, it's clear he's not just a red deck.
Maybe he didn't have another option?
I don't know.
Did he play, what was it, a Scalding Tarn, I guess?
Probably. He does have Misty Rainforest, so it could have been a Misty Rainforest.
Now he's probably, almost definitely given it up.
Yeah, Shrine.
Shrine of Piercing Vision.
And maybe Jim's like, isn't that the wrong shrine? Aren't you supposed to be playing the Burning Rage?
I expected Burning Rage.
Jim, second land here, lays this Azure Mage. It's a fine threat.
Yeah. Good news for Jim is that the 4 life from the Dismember is a lot less relevant against Splinter Twin than it is against a mono red deck, for example.
Absolutely. Matt casts a Preordain, I'm guessing. Ponder. Fishy Ponder. I prefer Classic Ponder, but that's okay.
Which one's Classic Ponder?
That would be... incorrect. I don't prefer Classic Ponder. I prefer Newfangled Ponder. That's not the fishy one. I like the new.
I thought that's what I thought I was going to get.
I've got it backwards. You did get me. I like the newer Ponder.
You do. I like the Classic Ponder.
Which is the fishy Ponder.
It is. It is.
I think it kind of stinks a little bit.
Yeah, it does have a fishy smell, but no, it's original Ponder. But yeah, I think in Standard, sometimes it depends on what format I'm playing. If I'm playing Legacy, I play the old Ponder, and if I'm playing Standard, I play the new Ponder.
I usually go with card arts, which art I prefer.
Most of the time I am, but I think sometimes it just depends on, like, if I'm playing Legacy, I want to play old Grim Lavamancer. If I'm playing Standard, I want to play New Frame Grim
You see,
Lavamancer.
I want to play old Grim Lavamancer, period. I like him a lot better.
I do like it better, too.
Counterspell, my favorite counterspell is the Ice Age block counterspell, which is the woman with the, like, hands outstretched.
I know, with the real dark background. It's kind of like, I like the Tempest counterspell.
Okay, we resolve that Ponder finally. And he lays a third land. Looks like an Arid Mesa?
Yes, I believe it is, yes. Arid Mesa, I'm going to miss you in 6 weeks. I know you were just saying how...
Only 6 weeks. I'm not going to miss him.
Yeah.
That will be a good thing to go away.
I was so excited about the fetch lands being back, and
I was actually angry.
Taken them for granted over the past 2 years.
Preordain. Jim Davis digs 2 cards in. 2 to the bottom. And Jim attacks for 2. Oh, he might attack for 2. We'll see. Land first. Island. Attack for 2.
A-Ray 30 or A-Ray 831 on Twitter calls that ponder the same thing that my play group calls that ponder, but I'm not going to say it on the air. You'll just have to find his Twitter feed and see that.
A second Azure Mage from Jim Davis. That's both of them. And Matthew Boccio does not play Pyroclasm to punish Jim for that at all. So
have yet to see Azure Mage draw a card today.
I think there was another Ponder played by Matt, but yep, that was a Ponder. I see a Preordain amongst it. I think I see a Deceiver Exarch, but I'm not sure. I'm guessing I did not see those cards.
Yeah, considering he decided he wanted to throw them away. Then again, you know, maybe he's looking for something else.
We see the shuffle, 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 shuffle. Passes more shuffling.
Shuffling, and then he's going to fetch and shuffle again. Hopefully not.
Passes the deck over. Jim just gives it a cut.
Huh.
Matt draws from the Ponder. Looks like a land, I think. I think that was an island.
He's really keeping his cards close to his chest there.
Cracks the shrine.
Yeah.
I think actually that was not a land, and I think that's what he's looking for. I think he's looking for land here.
It's very possible. His opponent's tapped out.
Leaves it on top. It's in the foremost part of his hand. Does not shuffle his hand, so he did indeed search for that island.
Yeah, those are signed APAC lands, by the way.
Island, island, mountain, mountain. So all of that effort, I think it's possible then I did see a Deceiver Exarch after all. It's just that he didn't have the land for it, so he shuffled it away. It's certainly reasonable, and he has a Deceiver Exarch already, so he didn't need an extra one in his opinion.
Yeah.
So he lays a Deceiver Exarch and untaps an island.
Let's see.
4 mana. Jim Davis says go. He's fine to sit behind Azure Mages and drawing cards.
We've got orders for.
Why did Matt main phase that Deceiver Exarch?
He wanted to put down a while Jim was tapped out. He wanted it on the table, and he probably has Dispel available to protect it.
Fair. Okay.
That
he's going to have trouble
stopped.
casting Dispel if he doesn't have a land here, though. I mean, if he's going to be trying to cast Splinter's Wind.
Yeah. And he asked Jim how many cards he had, which is, I think he was checking to see if it was a low number. He might just go for it, but he didn't have a low number, so he says go. So Jim adds more
adds
to it.
to that number, yeah. Thank you, whoever let those guys know to move some of the cards onto the table, or further up the table.
You can now see the graveyard, so it's easier to call what we see played.
Yeah.
Matt seems to be a straight to the graveyard kind of spellcaster. Jim lays an island. I think he's going to say go, and he does. At the end of the turn, does Matt do anything? End of the turn into the Royal with kicker. Tapping himself out, leaving an opportunity for Jim to do something mean. It's returned, he draws a card, and Jim says go ahead.
Yeah, I think that was a trap, trying to see if Jim would activate activate it and try to draw a card off of it, which obviously seems like no reason that Jim would need to do that.
Yeah, with that extra Azure Mage hanging back. And Matt, once again, Fishy Ponder.
Draws his card. Gitaxian Probe. Pays the mana for it.
What you got over there, Mr. Davis? This leaves Matt without blue mana open.
I see Gideon. I see Into the Royal, Azure Mage, Emeria Angel. I want to say Spell Pierce and a Seachrome Coast. Is that, I don't know. Yeah, that's a Seachrome, or yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a Seachrome Coast. So Seachrome, Gideon, Emeria Angel. I want to think that's Spell Pierce, Into the Royal, and Azure Mage.
Okay, he's like, that's cool. Let's draw a card. Maybe lay a blue source now. Halimar Depths tapped.
I think I saw Spell Pierce, Dispel. Something else.
I think we're going to see a go in a second here.
Yeah.
And draw a card. Azure Mage, draw a card.
That's awesome.
Jim Davis, I think, is actually in a really good position here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got... Matt knows what he's playing around, but Jim does have a lot of cards at his disposal.
5 mana.
Gideon.
Gideon here is actually super safe. Into the Royal is a potential risk, but his opponent would have to have Into the Royal and Splinter Twin and have Jim not have a Spell Pierce.
He'd need Into the Royal, Splinter Twin, and a land, and have Jim not have Spell Pierce.
Yeah, and a land.
Yeah. Pretty sure that Matt has a Spell Pierce available. Oh, wait a minute. We need Jim not to have Spell Pierce. Yeah.
Jim lets Gideon take 1. Oh boy. Untap. And now Gideon is in the position to be able to murder that Deceiver Exarch.
Yeah, or actually more appropriately, Deceiver Exarch is in the position to be murdered by the Gideon.
Tomato,
which is
tomato.
the tapped position. Gideon stays pretty still when he's doing the murdering.
Counts his mana. Thinks for a moment.
Yeah, meanwhile, that Azure Mage has definitely drawn some cards this game.
It's supplied Jim with a total treasure trove worth of cards. Seachrome Coast. Gideon does his murdering work, I think. Am I wrong? Or is he actually saying attack again?
I think he +2'd it, which is odd because why not just get that thing off the table? Make him have another Exarch.
Well,
in addition to the
what
twin.
it does do is that if, let's say he murders the Exarch, if Matt has a Exarch in hand, Matt can put a new Exarch into play and then go for the combo on the turn after that for the win. So there is that.
I mean,
it requires a little bit of different things from Matt then. If Matt wants to win through the Gideon, he has to have, in this case, Splinter Twin plus some mana to be able to fight a counterspell war over it. Plus an Into the Royal.
but doesn't he need... Well, I'm saying, like, he kills... Alright, if Gideon just kills the Exarch, now Matt needs Exarch and Twin. In this case, he just needs Twin. I'm not sure, like, why it would be better to leave it on the table. I'm not clear exactly what you mean. it's not as if like if he was killing the Splinter Twin and also that was in doing that, removing all the counters from his Gideon and losing the Gideon, I can see why he would +2 it, but he's not. You know, that Gideon's sticking around.
Myria Angel. Alright, so
there's a second twin. Oh, I'm sorry, Exarch. Tapping Jim's Tectonic Edge.
Attention Magic players, we have an order from Bravos for Peter. Peter, your 2 large cheese pizzas, 2 large Mountain Dew order is here. Please come and get it. Or again, we're going to eat it and make you pay for it.
Alright, so Exarch resolves. A third Exarch. So Matt has 3 Exarchs in play. If it resolves. Tap the Glacial Fortress. Okay. So 2 Exarchs resolved at the end of Jim's turn, tapping down 2 of Jim's land, but he still has 2 Seachrome Coasts available and untapped. You know, unfortunately, Matt can't play Splinter Twin, and then if Jim kills the target, he could just say, well, I'll put it on this other Exarch. Doesn't really work. There's a Splinter Twin, targeting Exarch number 1. Well, actually, I think it was the 3rd Exarch played, but from Matt's left to right, it's Exarch number 1. And Jim, considering he's gotten into the Royal, but Matt has 2 blue mana open. So we have a Splinter Twin on the stack. Priority pass to Jim. So, Splinter Twin resolves, but Jim had +2'd that Gideon. And now those Exarchs are all attacking the Gideon. Jim thinking about his blocks here. So Gideon dies. Along with the faux hawk. And Matt passes a turn with a Deceiver Exarch equipped, or not equipped, enchanted with Splinter Twin. on the board, so Jim has to find an answer here. He may have an answer. Already, we know he has an Into the Royal, but we also know Matt has 3 untapped islands. So he's Scalding Tarn, fetch an island.
Poor Gideon.
And what is Jim gonna do facing down the Splinter Twin combo? He seems to have some sort of plan involving straightening up his lands first. Taps 4 mana, untaps 4 lands. Okay. Thinking again. Alright, so he taps 4, draws a card off Azure Mage. It is a Seachrome Coast. The 4th one, in fact. And 2 more mana. Into the Royal, targeting Deceiver Exarch. You know, the relevant one. The one with the Splinter Twin. So, on Matt's side of the board, we have 6 lands, 3 untapped islands, a Halimar Depths, and 2 mountains, but all 3 of which are tapped. 2 Deceiver Exarchs, one of which has a Splinter Twin on it. Both of those are tapped. Jim Davis into the Royals. The Deceiver Exarch, Matt dispels it. Jim spell pierces it. Matt has a dispel for that as well, and Jim packs it in. Cannot find enough answers. Well, at least doesn't have enough answers to fight through Matt's answers to Jim's answers. Didn't mean that to sound.
It's almost like trivia, where you've got who has the best answers. Well, I've got more answers, so I win.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I have no idea if that actually makes any sense.
Jim was
but
trying
okay.
to answer the Exarch, but Matt had answers for Jim's answers.
I mean, it looked like Jim was actually in a pretty good position with
really
the
did, yeah.
Azure Mage, but one of the things, you can have a lot of cards, but if they're not relevant, who cares, you know? Like, they still have to be relevant cards.
So going to the sideboard here, Jim has Torpor Orb, very relevant.
Very, very relevant.
Flash Freeze, very helpful against those Splinter Twins, but that's it.
That's it. I don't like Flash Freezes in this matchup. Mental Misstep, though, that's a very good card in the matchup.
Yeah. Seems really, really likely that he'd bring those in.
I mean, Mental Misstep, just being able to fight the Dispel, is very significant. To fight Spell Pierce, those are very relevant things. And then
right.
Ponder and Preordain, you'd only really fight those if you feel like you had an extra amount of, like, just stuff available.
Mm-hmm. He's got 2 Revoke Existence as well that can fight that Splinter Twin. So, rather than Flash Freeze, he'd rather have the Revoke Existences. On Matt's side of the board, Mindbreak, Trap, Grim Lavamancer, Negate. Let's see. So, Negate seems reasonable. He's also got Mental Missteps, which, you know, he may bring in. Mutagenic Growth, 3 of those to fight Dismembers, but which he knows Jim has because Jim played one immediately in Game 1. The first.
I think it's a very reasonable choice. I wouldn't be surprised to see Deprive hit.
Yeah, Deprive was another one. He's just got one of those. Seems reasonable to bring that in. Probably cuts the Grim Lavamancers. And likely, well, you know, if he thinks Jim has Spellskite, he probably keeps the Twisted Image. Kind of tough decision there. He's got 2 main deck Twisted Image. None in the sideboard, but this is an interesting kind of thing. If Matt thinks Jim has Spellskite in the sideboard, then he wants to keep in those twisted images. But since he didn't see it, well, he didn't see Spellskite game 1, he may be expecting them in game 2. So it's kind of interesting call here.
I guess I feel like Twisted Image doesn't cost you very much. That they probably are the last card to get cut if you feel like you have other things to bring in that are worthwhile.
Yeah, that sounds like a fair strategy, fair plan there. I think what's interesting about Twisted Image is how good it is with Deceiver, Exarch, if you just feel like swinging in for 4. Because like you said, it's not like a dead card, doesn't cost you much. Cantrips and sometimes just helps you maybe kill a Planeswalker that otherwise, say Jim +2's the Gideon, and Twisted Image on an Exarch will knock that Gideon down quite a bit further, depending on obviously how many counters.
Right,
or something like a Jace Bellerin or something like that. You know what I mean? He can.
The cost is pretty minimal.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like little random ways it can be useful. I mean, like if we look at Jim Davis's answers in game 1, he had 3 Dismember, 2 Into the Royal, and then counterspells that rapidly become dead. So even though he had the Azure Mage coming and doing work, those counterspells just become dead very, very quickly. I mean, you could be correct. I don't really like Flash Freeze boarded in here, but if you're just trying to fight over that answer, it's a pretty good way to fight them. Okay. So we have the opening of Jim Davis's first turn here with Preordain off of a Seachrome Coast.
So Nick Spagnuolo is 7-0. Matt adds a Scalding Tarn to his side of the board. Passes to Jim, who plays an Island and a Squadron Hawk.
Okay. Search, 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 search. Gets 2 Squadron Hawks.
It's kind of crazy now that I think about it. No Squadron Hawks, no fetch lands. It's going to be a lot of quicker games just because of all this search being eliminated from the format after Innistrad is legal, depending on how much Innistrad brings on its own.
Second land.
Matt now has a mountain and an island. And he kept the Grim Lavamancers in. That's interesting. I guess that makes sense against the Squadron Hawks.
And also the Azure Mages.
Yeah. Just felt like...
I have a feeling it's actually probably very potent against Clawblade just in general.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can keep them off
yeah.
of a sword very easily.
I think what I was thinking was Grim Lavamancer is good against the very aggressive decks. The other thing is, like, I guess I was trying to see what he could cut, and I thought, oh, I'll cut the Grim Lavamancers. They don't seem that, it's not an aggro deck, but yeah,
well, just using
the more
it to
I think about it,
blunt
that was
the
just
clock,
right. I'm saying I was definitely wrong.
In for 1 with a Squadron Hawk. Looks like an Inkmoth Nexus. Dismember is summoned from Jim Davis's hand.
It's summoned. It's not even a creature. So, believe the Dismember there was an attempt at countering the Dismember, but Jim had the mana leak, so Matt loses that Lavamancer. Adds a Scalding Tarn to the board. Preordains.
Ponder.
Or was it Ponder?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. He drew 3, yeah. Just off screen, couldn't really see what it was. And there's a Lavamancer.
Number 2.
Yeah.
I really like that card in his deck. I think it's a very interesting choice. Into the Royal hiding in Jim Davis's hand. Three mana, sword, and
Shaheen Sarani just lost to Haunting Echoes. Haunting Echoes.
Haunting
He just
Echoes is a
keeps
good
repeating
card.
it.
You know, I think he's going Haunting Echoes. How could that happen?
In
And I'm
2002.
thinking Haunting Echoes. Of course you lose. No, seriously, I think you're a control deck. Someone Haunting Echoes you. It's probably over.
Yeah. So there's a sort of Feasting Famine.
Yep.
For Jim.
Joined by a Celestial Colonnade this turn. Grim Lavamancer sits back and can easily stop anyone from equipping that sword the first time.
Yeah.
And we see a fetched land, I think, there.
Yeah, he had a Scalding Tarn, so. Huh. He just put the Scalding Tarn in the graveyard and just stop. Yeah, I guess he's just trying to decide what land to get.
Could be they were also having a little conversation. We can't see their faces, so.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Chooses a mountain.
Double mountain and an island for Matt Boccio.
Remember I mentioned to you yesterday, we're driving nuts.
Attention players,
See
sign up for Commander.
a wait as both players do some thinking.
Main event stage, Commander number 3. Please come to the main event stage.
Jim fully untapped here with 4 mana. Do I equip my sword and make you kill him?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what he's got in his hand and what other options he has. I mean, I think if I'm Matt, my plan is kill that hawk either way. Obviously, if it's in response to the equip, seems ideal. But if Jim decides, you know, I'm not going to equip it, end of turn, I just kill it anyway. So, Matt indeed uses Grim Lavamancer to take out the Hawk in response to the equip. Jim adds Celestial Colonnade to the board and passes. So Matt untaps his Mountain and his Lavamancer. Draws his card for the turn, and I mean, he missed a land drop last turn. And maybe just didn't have anything to dig for it. And did he just pass back?
Matt says
Yes,
go.
He did.
End of the turn, Jim goes into the Royal on Grim Lavamancer. He wants to be able to connect with his Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, so
It gets countered.
yeah, but then in that case, Jim is now running Matt out of protection for his Exarch combo.
Another Squadron Hawk's going to hit play, I think. And you see a Flash Freeze in Jim Davis's hand.
So he did keep the Flash Freeze. So Jim has Glacial Fortress in hand. We believe Flash Freeze. I want to say I could sort of see a Spell Pierce. Could be wrong. And of course, okay, so I was wrong. He's only got Flash Freeze in his hand now, but adds 2 more Squadron Hawks to the board. And Matt, see now he's overwhelming that Lavamancer with the Squadron Hawks. So Jim loses another Hawk to the Lavamancer, but has 2 more in play. Passes back to Matt, who finally hits his 4th land drop with an Arid Mesa and passes back to Jim.
So now we're going to see a succession of Sword of Feast and Famine equips, I believe.
Yeah, I think that seems likely. It's going to kill 1 Hawk.
Here's the
with
first.
the Lavamancer. Yes.
Die, Hawk, die.
Kill the Hawk, right. All right.
How about the second one?
I will equip again. Do you have an answer? Okay,
that works. We
It
might
took
see a Deceiver
4 Squadron
Exarch.
Hawks to get that sword on something.
And he is allowed to attack, so it's too late for the Deceiver Exarch to stop something. Into the Royal.
Now Jim has Flash Freeze, we know. Is that a Mana Leak as well? I thought he only had Flash Freeze. Mana Leak. So there was a Mana Leak. For some reason I didn't even see that before.
It's a reasonable thing to fight over. He gets to untap everything after Matt discards a card.
I know why I didn't see it, because it was last turn. Matt's turn was so quick, Jim drew a card and it was the Mana Leak, so...
Red card goes to Matt's yard.
Alright, 2 mana from Matt. 2 mountains trapped. Shrine of Piercing Vision.
Pass.
Hawk untaps. Lavamancer not going to be all that relevant while that sword is... While that sword's equipped to that Hawk. Jim thinking. We can only see that Flash Freeze. I couldn't see what that other card was. Yeah, it's gonna say,
Colonnade.
looks like Colonnade seems like a decent call right here. So activate Colonnade. All right,
In they
with
come.
all of them. So 7 damage in, untap all the lands. Probably just pass. No, he's gonna do something here. I think. Make sure those lands are perfectly straight before you cast any spells, Jim.
Very important.
It is.
3 mana Jace.
Yes.
Little Jace.
Little Jace. Lil Jace. Apparently, Nick Spagnolo, as I mentioned, 7-0 with the same list that Jerry's playing, same 75. Very cool. And at this point, round 7, it's going into round 8, very likely that he is in good shape to make top 8. Matt cracks that fetch land for a mountain. Interesting. He's got 3 mountains and 1 island.
I would call that perhaps not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he just chose that though off of the Scalding Tarn.
Maybe he's running islands in his hands.
Yeah, he activated Lavamancer, which is weird, like a strange plan to be on at this point. I mean, I guess he just wanted that damage in.
And it seems to me he's got a very large graveyard.
Yeah.
So might as well get the 2 damage in.
Right. It was for me. It was a matter of, does he have another land? Does he have another island? Because he's going, really short on blue mana. He did. He does have a Misty Rainforest, which he played, so he can get another island. And again, Jim activates Celestial Colonnade after adding a Tectonic Edge to the board. Matt cracks this Shrine of Piercing Vision for...
Something, anything. Scoopage.
Yeah, nothing.
Scoopage.
Yeah, nothing he could find, so...
Over.
Jim takes game 2. versus the Splinter Twin deck. Didn't see any Exarchs or Twins that game, which is probably a big contributing factor to Matt's loss there.
Sneaking in next to Matt was famous Judge Jeremy Smith, the editor of Inquest magazine back when Inquest was around.
Oh, good call. It was an Arid Mesa that he cracked. That's why it wasn't a Scalding Tarn. I thought it was an Arid Mesa. I mean, I thought it was a Scalding Tarn.
And they go to their sideboards here.
Nice to just take a look and see. Looks like Matt's definitely changing a couple things up. Maybe one. I think he just changed one card. I'm not sure what Jim was doing. I was watching Matt very closely.
It looked like Jim was changing something around, but the question, of course, what?
Oh, you know what happened is he cracked that Arid Mesa, which obviously can't get an island, and also he used the Grim Lavamancer to take out Baby Jace.
That's right. There we go.
See what happens when you look down at people's deck lists to see what kind of answers they could be digging for, then you miss what happens on the board.
I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Boccio put in another Grim Lavamancer. I mean, it was actually being very effective at holding down the sword plan.
Not relevant now. Well, if anybody's just joining us, we're here in round 7 of the Star City Games Open Series here in Boston. I'm Joey Pasco, joined in the booth by Adrian Sullivan.
Hello.
Both of these guys, as you can see on screen, are 1-1. Or not one, they're tied up in this match, going to Game 3. Jim Davis was able to take Game 2. Basically, Matt was a little behind on land and didn't have an Exarch or Twin that we saw, so not able to assemble his combo. But today we've been seeing a number of different archetypes, different decks, including some Cog Go decks. And then when I say Cog Go, I mean no swords. Jim, though, is playing a more classic Caw Blade list with the actual Sword of Feast and Famine in the main deck. So Matt leads with a land which I can't tell what it is because there's a glare. Jim leads with a Celestial Colonnade, passes back. Matt has a Gitaxian Probe, so he sees Inkmoth Nexus, Sword of Feast and Famine, Mental Misstep, Squadron Hawk, Island, and I want to say that's Dismember on the end. Interesting, he could have misstepped that probe, but I guess doesn't have a problem with Matt getting that information. And thank you for spreading those out. That's all right. Yeah.
That's a pretty tough hand.
Yeah. So let's see. He can turn to Hawk, and he's got the sword. So no need for a Stoneforge Mystic.
Second land from Matt. Fetch, fetch. Goes Fishy Ponder.
I saw Preordain. Didn't see what the third card was, and missed the first card as well, but saw the Preordain in the middle. Alright, so Grim Lavamancer gets Mental Misstepped, which Matt knew he had. Jim plays Inkmoth Nexus, and played Inkmoth Nexus, and then played a Squadron Hawk. Sorry for the commotion off camera here, guys. So Jim grabs 3 Hawks off of that Hawk and passes back to Matt, who cracks a Misty Rainforest, I want to say. Yep, Island. Preordained, probably. I know he drew, or I know he had one available off of that Ponder. And there it is, Preordained from Matt. Sees Lavamancer, and I want to say Misstep is the other card. Puts them both back, draws. Looks like he may have changed his mind here. Yeah, he's putting the Misstep on the bottom and keeping the Lavamancer, I want to say. That's what it looked like. Taps a red, plays
There's
a Lavamancer.
Dismember right away. Squadron Hawk number 2 hits the table. Matt taps 2. Shrine of Piercing Visions.
Alright, Scalding Tarn finds an island.
We got Bravos, Lloyd, Patrick, and Mark. Lloyd, Patrick, and Mark, come on up and grab your Bravos.
Alright, so Matt passes back. Jim swings in with his 2 Hawks. And a Sword of Feast and Famine from Jim.
Players, that is time.
Right now, Matt is in that danger position where the sword can just take over and do what it often does against the more combo-based decks. Just put the pressure on and remove your options as a combo deck. Says go.
Yeah. Both players having to play a little more quickly because I think there's only a few minutes left in the round.
Jim lays a plains, equips the sword to one of the Squadron Hawks.
No response from Matt, it looks like. May have said wait a second, but okay.
Into
So
the
there
royal
is a
on the
response.
sword, perhaps?
Deceiver
Exarch in
okay.
combat, hopefully. Triggers
So
the shrine. He can't forget the
resolves.
shrine. The shrine does not let you forget. Attack for 1.
I'm a little bit confused. Did he? Oh, he blocked one. Okay, that's what it was.
No, he tapped 1, yeah, and then
Did he? Why wouldn't he have blocked the other?
he can't. Well, it's a flyer.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
This is the opportunity here. Only 3 mana available from Jim Davis. I only see 1 mountain, is that correct?
Yeah. I think you're correct.
There's a second mountain. What do you do? Only 3 mana available from Jim Davis. He cracks the Shrine of Piercing Visions.
He's Island, Mountain,
Deceiver, Exarch, Land,
Karn,
and something.
I want to say Gitaxian Probe?
I think he's grabbing another Deceiver Exarch.
Yeah, whatever that last card was, it was not something he wanted.
He says go. I think we're going to see here is we're going to see a Deceiver Exarch during combat tapping the equipped Squadron Hawk. Two mana. Hawk. Lays Ink Moth Nexus. Ink, Blink, I always say the wrong one.
I was getting them confused, not confused, but I kept saying Blink Moth Nexus as well, like when I first started getting used to that card being in Standard. And there's Exarch number 2.
Yep, Exarch to tap, and then in for 1. Go.
Wedding reception. If you need to use the facility, please move quietly past the artist and SCG line booth.
See a Ponder.
You will not be able to travel along the corridor while the wedding reception is in session. So once again, players, if you need to use the facilities, please travel quietly between the SCG line booth and Mark Kaiser's artist booth.
We have a pass with the Halimar Depths putting a Ponder on top of Matt Boccio's library. 2 cards left in Matt's hand.
You got to think neither of those are Splinter Twin, or if so, nothing to protect it, and that's
5 mana, Celestial Colonnade.
Is just to the left of the stars of the game's sign and
Comes on in for 9.
making sketches on plans. You can also check out our 3 altruists up by table 1 in the future match area.
so.
He loses a
all in
card,
from that.
untaps everything. He's got a Dismember in his hand still. He shows it to Matt. You got anything? Come on, I got a Dismember here. Are we done here? You know it's on top. And Matt's like, come on, let me just play it out here. Let me just play.
Yeah, that kind of looks like what's happening here.
Come on, I got you dead. What? I'm gonna play, okay?
I mean, are they in turns or something? I don't.
I mean, they're sure using a lot of. If they're not in turns.
So.
I think that was turns. Let's just see if we can get a glimpse of whether that was what we got there. Might be too late to see. I think yeah.
Yeah, well, the fact that I think yeah, I don't know.
The only thing that makes sense is that they were in extra turns, and yeah, that was extra turns. We
didn't realize.
we
that
did
they
not
called
hear
time. I
any,
knew-
the announcement of time, but they were in extra turns there.
What the announcement I heard was there's a few minutes left. And
Yeah.
so I thought there were a few minutes
Yeah.
left.
So Jim there is like, I had you. You're dead, right? And Matt's like, well, you know, I